Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time zone it is, whether you're in the world, it is your Lore Saviour, and today we're talking about Burnout as storytellers and possibly as players as well, because on the 23rd of April 2025 in the year of our Lord Talos, a member of the Lore by Night Discord server was basically experiencing some form of burnout because they keep trying to run games and players for one reason or another keep dropping out, and it's just causing, quite a bit of frustration. And I responded to them on the same day, and I'm now recording this on the 27th of April to come out sometime in June, I think, because we like to work in advance here, because I feel that there is a lot that I can say on this subject matter, or at the very least, the little that I may have to say is going to help a lot of people. Maybe it won't, I don't know. Well, I just thought I would give my 2 cents, because I've experienced this myself on different fields, of course, and I just want to, do my best to help you lot cope with burnout in some degree or another. So, what is burnout? Well, I can't really give you a Oxford Dictionary definition, but it's a mental and emotional exhaustion, really. Like, if you think about burnout of a machine where it's overworking, overstressed, just it needs to throw in the towel and, in the case of machinery, be replaced. Of course, you can't replace people. You can never replace people, really. But if you think more about the overworking, the overstimulation, that it's running hot, it's on the verge of collapse, and it can cause serious mental damage if you just keep pushing yourself. Like, the example that I was referring to is that I have experienced burnout when I was running actual plays. I've done a video about this, but to give you a small synopsis, as it were, I just found it all very stressful. Like running actual plays, organising people, being let down at the last minute, it was just all very stressful. And it also didn't help that the medium of actual plays changed a lot, where people just want tiny budget film experiences, like basically lesser versions of Critical Role, Roll Dimension 20 and all the rest of it. Not, a scenario where people were just having fun playing games, and it was just very frustrating to deal with, really. And there were other things around it which I talked more about in that video, but it just wasn't worth my time, and I just wasn't enjoying it, and I was getting too stressed and worked up for a load of nothing, really. And it took me a considerable amount of time just to even consider running games, even in a more casual setting, which was such a sad thing, because I enjoy running games, I enjoy making my players happy and, having some good old queer spooky times. But, it's just the whole actual play thing really just drained all the fun out of it for me. And I can understand in a scenario like that, you put in a lot of effort, or you're prepared to, in my case, with a lot of these things, and also the original poster, and people just keep dropping out and, can't turn up, and sometimes it's to do with the games master as well. I was running a Chicago by Night game last year, and I was doing these vlog diary things, and literally the penultimate session was the last one because some personal family shit was happening, and we just never picked it up again. I've never pursued, wanting to restart, or rather carry on with that final thing, and then again, no one else has carried on with it either, so I try not to beat myself too much about it. We're kind of touching upon things a little bit, but if you're beginning to feel that things are a little too much, or you're just not really enjoying it, you have a right to say, you know what, I'm not enjoying this, can we stop? Which might involve you stopping completely, or it may involve, asking somebody else to take over for a little bit. And say, hey, I really want to play with you guys, but I'm not really feeling up to do it today. Does anybody else want to run something? Or we can just do something else together, watch a film or something, just have that time with your friends, but have it separate from the game in question. It requires a bit of TLC and a bit of self-respect and a bit of care, so you can just look after yourself and look after your friends and players. So that's what it's all about, really. It's also important to highlight that with burnout, as I said with my own experiences, these sorts of things can take weeks or even months. In some cases it can take years. I think there was a statistic that I read once that it takes about a few months to a few years to fully recover from these things, and that might sound a little silly to some of you, or it might shock you just to think of how severe this can be for some people. But again, we're really sensitive, delicate little flowers, and we do require quite a bit of maintenance. And when something puts a lot of strain on our mental, physical and or emotional health, it takes a fucking long time to heal that. really. And that course can be applied to a lot of other things as well. So if you need to tap out from games mastering, like, just appreciate that it's going to take a while. And I know that games masters in particular are restless souls. We love creating, we love scheming, the creative process for us rarely fucking stops. We're just constantly flooring it. Or, you put the floor down, but you put the fucking brakes on as well, so you're not really going anywhere. That's what it's kind of like being on Burnout, really. You're like trying to force yourself to go through with things. But just appreciate that your feelings and well-being is important as well. Like, I know a lot of discussions around tabletop role-playing games online kind of forget that the games master is a person too. I know a lot of horror stories also focus on the games master doing some really weird shit, but of course not everybody else is not like that. So it's just important just to take some time for yourself and relax and unwind, and even if that means detaching yourself from the hobby for a little bit, like, that's just something that you've got to do, really. Like, do whatever it needs for you to feel better and more confident about playing again. Or if at all, if you find it, if you get to a point where things are so bad that you just don't want to do it anymore, don't force yourself to do it. And as upsetting that may well be, I'm just sort of repeating myself at this point, but just, you got to look after yourself. You got to find the things that make you happy your way, and it involves playing games with people. You've just got to find that balance and work out what is or isn't too much for you. And if you find that you're running these games with different people and the same sort of thing happens, maybe reconsider the people that you're playing with, and or how that you're running games, or how frequently if you're running games. Maybe instead of running one game every week, you run a game once every 2 weeks, or once a month, or once every other month, having, once every other month might seem a bit pointless, but if that's all you can manage because of life stress and all the rest of it, then you do that. And I'm sure your players and friends are understanding about that. And if they're not and they want to play more, well, they can always find other people to play with. But if they specifically give you a hard time because you can't do that, well, they're just not worth your time and energy, really. Like, go and have fun with people who are going to make you feel worthwhile. And, not just a machine that they can just wear down to the bone. Now, for those pesky players amongst you. From the tone and what the original post on the Discord server was highlighting, I was getting the impression that this is happening with constant new groups of people, rather than the same group of people. Because if it's the latter, my advice to you is just to find a different group of people to play with, rather than keep being disappointed like that. Because again, if we're using the machine example, trying to force it into a compatible scenario, or, try and force a compatible scenario out of it, I should say, it's going to overwork it, it's going to cause some degree of stress, and it's going to cause the thing to fall in on itself, basically, or catch fire, or some other disaster, and people are going to get hurt one way or another, especially the machine. So Games Masters, don't treat yourself like a machine, do better. But if it's for constant groups of people, that you're running different groups of people and stuff like this happens, see, that's a bit more tricky, because unfortunately the whims of fate may lead us down to some rocky paths, and shit's going to be happening to people all at once. And if it's happening literally all at once with all these different groups, then yeah, that can be very frustrating, especially if you're the sort of person who would run games professionally, and not only are you losing players, but you're losing a bit of income, and you are, well, not going to be eating as much or able to pay rents and whatnot. So that can all build up to some degree of stress and almost a state of depression. It's like, well, what's the fucking point of doing any of this? Why am I bothering playing all these games? Why am I running all these things if people can't be committed, as the games master may word it, to stick through to the end? And I suppose that leads on to another bit. Like, if you know these people and it's like a one-off event, or stuff is going on in their life, then yeah, that doesn't make it any less frustrating, but I feel that a bit of compassion can go a long way. However, if you are dealing with a bunch of strangers that you're running groups for and organising stuff all the time, and you don't know Adam from Eve, I think the idea is that you're just going to have to find somebody else to play with, or manage the scenario with 4 people rather than 5, I think, which again does make things a bit stressful. But I didn't say that trying to find workarounds and means to help you out isn't going to be stress-free. Because again, we are a creative bunch and we just like to fucking fraud all the time. And when we're not working on our little passion projects, we do get a bit stressed out, and trying to force ourselves to relax is very fucking difficult. I'm mainly speaking about myself here, but I think games masters as a whole can agree with this one way or another. But I also think that as a games master, you do really need to set some boundaries and some real tough expectations of people. Like this whole actual play Burnout thing with me has really made me feel at times a bit of a dictator, like to hammer down what you expect from people. And from running lots of games online for people, I'm very demanding about things, so I know that people really shouldn't be wasting my time because I'm putting myself first. Like whenever I've run, more recently when I've run my Wraith the Oblivion games and some vampire ones, I've left in my adverts and StartPlaying.games, which is how I organise these things. You've got a day to join the Discord server I make, otherwise you're not going to play because I don't want you to waste my time. Which is a bit insensitive to people to think that, yeah, I really shouldn't muck around, otherwise I'm not going to be able to play, you know. And of course things are still going to pop up, but you deal with those as they come and go. Be really firm when you want the game to start and have everybody turn up. Sure, have that bit of like friendly chatter before and after the game starts to make sure everyone's having a fun old time, and try and factor that into your scheduling. But be firm about when you want people to show up. Be firm about the sort of game that you want to run and how people should hand in their character sheets, how you have session 0 if you bother having it at all. Like make sure that you are running the ship as proper and not having so loosey-goosey so people think they can fuck you about. Also, maybe reshape how you run your games and the sort of games that you run. Because if you're running something that's very sandboxy with branching side quests and all these narratives that connects all the different characters and their mothers together, which a lot of game master advice you find online sort of dictates towards, that may not be the right fit for you or the group if you have players that dip in and out for one reason or another, whether it's work or family matters. Maybe run a bunch of one-shot scenarios or do something that's a bit more episodic, so it's not so important if people can't make a session because the world can move on easily without them. Which again puts a lot of work towards the games master, but it does put some of it towards the players because they know what to expect. But dealing with burnout is not just dealing with the aftermath of it, it's also very important to take the right steps to minimise it from happening. And I feel I've reached to a point with my games that I don't overdo it with how I run them, and I'm very firm from the get-go, whilst keeping up my wonderfully friendly demeanour, so people know that I shouldn't be messed around with. And I don't say that in a threatening way, it's just I put in a lot of work and I don't want to run a game with people who are going to waste my time. And you really should be taking that mindset with your stuff as well, folks. So in short, whether you're new, old, experienced or inexperienced with games mastering, I think there are ways to develop one's games mastery no matter what stage of your development is. How we present our games, how we run things, the sort of people that we play with, and how we organise ourselves. And all of these are really important to understand and easily shape and remould so we can have the fun games we can with all sorts of people. But also, so we don't get burnt out, the very subject matter of this video. Like, how I started running my games is very different to how I run them now. Like, almost two separate entities of game mastering. Like, whereas before I was really organised with notes and I'd write out scripts for characters to explain and descriptions and all these other little things, almost railroading people, but I always knew that you should always be a bit flexible because people are going to fucking surprise you. Whereas now, I don't give a shit for any of that. Like, I don't really write anything down other than things I know that I'm going to forget, or I have like certain page numbers like bookmarked on a bit of paper for powers and all those sorts of things. I am a lot more stricter about who I run games for and with. I'm a lot more demanding about when I want people to fucking turn up and respond to me, because I get really stressed out being made to wait, you know, like with the Discord server thing, and that sort of links back to people just not being very responsive in the server. Like, if I'm not getting anywhere with them, even if they are there, I kick them out and I try and find somebody else if I need another person to make it work. Otherwise, I do without, because it's not fair to make me wait, and it's not fair to make other people feel bad because they missed out on an opportunity because someone was being an arsehole. So whilst it's very important to make sure that your players are going to have a fun time and they feel that they're part of the world, the characters are believable and all the rest of it that you've heard many times before, it's also important for you games masters to feel that you're having a fun time as well and you're not being overworked, that you're finding like the right balance between everything. And sure, your players are going to surprise you both in game and out with things that you can't always control. To which I say that you've got to be a bit expectant about that. Does it make it any less frustrating? No, but knowing and appreciating that can happen can mentally prepare you and emotionally prepare you a bit more for when those things do happen, so you know how to best deal with them. Whether that's, you know, we work in a game scenario, skipping a week so you have everybody together, or just finding somebody else to play with, which is all totally valid, I feel. So to wrap things up in a beautiful little British bow, games masters and players, how do you deal with burnout in the TTRPG sphere? I think this would be a wonderful opportunity to unload our advice, tips and tricks without getting too trauma dumpy, I feel. So we can all help each other out, so we can all have the best games that we possibly can. Let's just share all these thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Now whilst you're down there, do check out the various books in the description below, including my awesome homebrew that allows you to play Wraith the Oblivion by yourself and a bunch of one-shot adventures, where you can play it in a group scenario as per usual TTRPG play, and it's called The Hopeful Damned. Or you can play Vampire the Masquerade solo using the Aurtakis Storyteller. I've got a load of other homebrew things down there for you to check out as well as a load of official World of Darkness books for you to try out. Purchase them with those links, I get some of the money back because they're special affiliate links that allow me to have some of the sliverage of the coinage when you purchase them. Now if you have those books, you can copy and paste the magic affiliate code into the URL of any book that you purchase from DriveThruRPG, the ST Vault or any of its other sister sites, and that helps as well. But if you can't, I totally understand that. Times are hard and all of that. But if you can, you can. If you can't, that's absolutely fine. What you can do all the same is like this video, subscribe to the Lore Saviour channel, and share this video with any and everyone who loves what I do. And I'll see you on the next upload, wherever that may well be for you. Until next time, farewell.